Good question.
Really the first time anyone's actually asked us that question.
It's not easy. It's really, really hard. You'll find like every single gig we do, we're always hustling, we're always trying to push merch sales because that is our source of income. Like China, most costs were actually covered, but just because we've sort of established ourselves there. America and Canada, it's our first time there, so literally everything we did was purely from merchandise. So it's a lot of investment and not much take back. But hopefully we'll break even. You know, we're working on it.
We play acoustic sets in the street. We'll be hustling CDs outside for an hour and a half after the show. So whilst most bands sort of are packing up and having a couple of beers, we're still out there in the elements trying to hustle and make the money. Because long story short, we set off on tours before we can afford them. We go on tour without the money, and if we don't hit targets on merch, we would come home. And touch wood so far. Wood. I don't know that's wood, but I'll touch it. We've managed to come back from all of them. So it's just huge risks, but that's just what we're about.
It depends on like if it's on the street, if it's too noisy, because if it's on the middle of a highway, then it's almost impossible.
Yeah. And if it's residential, then like you might get told off after like 2 minutes. It's when we can, we do. But like in Europe, a lot more of the venues are just outside the city. So you've got the perfect spot to do it. You're not going to piss too many people off. And a lot more people hang around because they have to wait a bit longer because they're outside town. Whereas here, like most UK venues are right in the city. Everyone's like, right, gig's done, now I'm fucking off sort of thing. So it depends if anybody sticks around. Yeah. We don't exactly advertise it in advance because we don't want people to be sat in the cold for 2 hours and us be like, oh, by the way.
But I think it's also etiquette to the headline band as well. So for example, some of the bigger tours we've been on, it takes the headline band quite a long time to pack up and get the gear out. So we have enough time to, you know, get our hustle on, sell CDs, meet people and try and sort of survive. Then we've got enough time to play an acoustic set and we're not stepping on anyone's toes. So when the headline band do come out or go to their bus or go to their van, the fans can meet them. So this tour's a little bit more tricky because it is a smaller tour. Waterparks are out the building quite quick and they always go and see their fans. So the last thing we want to do is start playing acoustic songs and then Waterparks come out and take their sort of their thunder, I guess, in some respects. So we just judge it and do it where we can, really.
Pull up, get everything out. What the fuck are we going to do? Oh my god, we're all going to die in the desert.
It was definitely panic was the first thing. All I saw was when the smoke started coming out of the CD player, and I just panicked. I was like, what the hell do I do? So just grabbed everything I could, and everyone just bundled out of the van, and yeah, it was just
everyone handled it so well. Like no one actually freaked out. Everyone was just on it. Like, right, you get this, you get this, you get this, and it was awesome to see. Everyone definitely came to the races that day. For sure.
Basically, what happened is the battery had overheated and the top had exploded off, and all the sulfur was flying out the top of into the engine. So me and Tom managed to find a stick and sort of lift it out whilst all the sulfur was pouring out, and sort of dump it into the side of the desert so it didn't explode. Yeah, everyone just was so chilled about it, considering we could have missed potentially the biggest show of the whole tour.
I think one thing I'm really proud of us as a band and a group of people are there is never a no. It's never oh that's not happening. It's well we'll make it happen. So while some people are trying to find a hitchhike and get lifts to a service station to buy a battery, knowing it wouldn't work, but we'll try it anyway. A couple of us were hitchhiking further down the road trying to find someone to take us to Vegas, and the fact we pulled it off and made it a sound check, I think just shows the kind of characters we are really. And yeah, super proud of us for pulling through that day for sure.
We literally ditched it. It was our merch guy's van, and he literally took a knife, smashed the windscreen, pulled all the VIN numbers out, scratched the VIN numbers off, pulled the plates out. We left it in the desert.
Still there to this day.
There was nothing. A mechanic came and he was like, all the wires are fried. There's nothing. It'll never work ever again unless you completely rebuild it. So it was worthless.
Basically, the people who picked us up were like real like American country folk. So we just said, hey, if you Matt we were just like, hey, if you want to take the van when you get back, like that'd be great, because we got to the venue in Vegas and they're like, no, don't want any money or anything for fuel. We're like, that's incredibly kind, like really, really cool. And we were like, yeah, if you want the van, just take it, we're not going back for it. Like, use the engine, use the scrap metal, because I can imagine they would have known how to use it in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were great.
We landed in Houston at like 5 a.m. and the airport was empty. Not a single person in it. I've never seen an airport an international airport that empty. And we were the only people in it, apart from the security. We sort of walked outside. It was literally the perfect example of the calm before the storm. It was so silent, no cars on the road, and it was just all the clouds were swirling. And then we were like, yeah, we should probably get out of here.
We didn't even buy water on the shelf from a supermarket. We went to a Walmart because we are classic tourists. We were like, let's go to a Walmart. Yeah, got to the first one we could find, and there was just no supplies. Like, everyone had just got everything. And that's when we kind of thought, do you know what? Yeah, this isn't something to mess about with. So. Heading towards this quite quickly.
We drove to the Houston show because apparently at this point it hadn't been cancelled, so we drove to the venue and everyone was still going ahead with it. So we went and got a Denny's at a diner, and then we got a text saying, it's been cancelled, so we just didn't even go back to the venue. We just left straight.
The promoter's words, our tour manager's words, would get the hell out of it. So
yeah, we drove to Austin. That show got cancelled, so we had to drive 2,000 kilometers all the way to Arizona, which sucked. Then we hadn't had any sleep from the shows before in Europe. It was a weird way to start the first American tour we've ever done, for sure.
It's definitely a great story to tell now.
Yeah.
It's just the most punk rock thing ever. It's ridiculous.
We've slummed it for like 8-9 weeks, so it gets very tiring. It's always we're just extremely happy if we get floor space or anything. So it's good fun though.
Yeah, we pretty much. If nothing comes through, then we'll normally get like a cheap hotel room for like 2 or 3 people, bail a couple of extra people in, and then the rest of us in the van.
Yeah, sneak the rest of us in and try and blag an extra duvet if we can.
Hope you're not watching Travelodge.
We played in Manchester. This guy, we were in this bar, and this guy said he was going to put us up, and we're going back to his house at like 3 a.m. And he stayed at the bar. He's like, here's the key to my house. Went in, and there was this like Rottweiler dog. He's like, oh, but don't go in the kitchen. Might have a dog there. We went in. When someone says don't go in the kitchen, you're going to go in the kitchen. We went in the kitchen, and there was this just dog mess all over the kitchen floor, and it was the smelliest house I've ever been to in my life. And the dog was like an angry dog, and we were like, this is the worst. So we all crammed in in the sofas, and like I think like 5 a.m. he came woke us up, like angrily shouting at us that we should eat pizza with him.
Can I quickly backtrack on that very quickly? We hadn't found a place to stay. We'd finished the gig. We went for a drink to decide what we were going to do, and we met this guy in Yates, and he was slaughtered when he gave us his house key. just like so you understand how we met this guy.
Next morning, we were so scared of leaving his house, so it was on the second floor. One of us managed to get out, and then we were just throwing all the backpacks off the top downstairs, and we just ran. We bolted out of his house. Didn't even say goodbye. That was weird. The first ever tour we did with him, last March. I think that was our first ever real tour, like on a big scale, like playing to more than 1,000 people every night for 5 weeks. Never been to Europe before, and never done any big shows in the UK, so it was just a really statement tour for us to
step up. Yeah.
We got to live on a bus as well, which was just a crazy experience. But that wasn't through being divas at all. As we've proven, we sleep and ride any vehicle we can get. But the logistics of that tour, we simply wouldn't have been able to keep up with if we were self-driving it. We'd have killed ourselves. And we managed to bus share with another band called Ghost Town from the States. And so that was this surreal experience, putting up to venues in a tour bus and playing these crazy shows. It was phenomenal.
Even with that, it was mad because the first day we were driving to Madrid and the bus crashed. So like anywhere we go, trouble just seems to follow us.
I think we missed one of the biggest shows in Spain.
Yeah.
Because the bus literally crashed into the side of the tunnel at 4 a.m. So the bus was screwed. Woke up in the morning in a Mercedes garage, and then we stayed there pretty much the whole day.
Yeah.
And then we got to the show as Simple Plan were going on stage, and it was just such a sad feeling. Like our first ever big tour, and we missed the first show. It sucked. But the rest of the tour was so good. Like.
Then that was the show where we were so bummed out, we were so annoyed, and obviously like I said, we'd go on tour not able to afford it. So if we didn't make the merch money, we'd have been kicked off the bus. On the day we were meant to play, we'd have been kicked off the bus wherever we were, pretty much. And that was the severity of it. And we thought, my God, we've lost a show. Like, any merch money we'd have made. So me and Cal grabbed the acoustics, and we went and played in the street, and we ended up selling quite a few CDs, and that's what just lit a fire in us, I think. And that's when we're like, right, yeah, we'll make it work if we have to. And that's kind of how the whole acoustic thing came around, wasn't it? Yeah. From that show.
That show was pretty scary, to be fair. We'd never been main support for a show that big before. And the fact that anyone would ever put us that high on a bill is crazy enough. And it was such a big show. It was an ice hockey arena, and it was sold out, like 5,000 people. Just didn't really know how we were going to go down, really. It was strange.
I think it's weird because with Simple Plan crowd, you tend to have that more sort of poppy vibe generally. Just because they've had that. I mean, Offspring have too, but I think Offspring's fans are more mature and sort of more into their punk rock. So we were like, are they going to jump? Are they too old for that? Are they going to like, this sort of old school vibe again, played by a bunch of new kids on the street sort of thing? But it was great.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It's kind of just luck. Really is just luck, really. We meet one person, it's just a weird chain of events that kind of just falls into place, I guess.
I think it's a mixture of working really, really hard, being good at what you do, but then mixed with an absolutely huge amount of luck. And I think that's pretty much the whole music industry summed up, really. You've got to be good at what you got to do, and people have got to like you, but you've also got to be incredibly bloody lucky. Right place, right time, stuff like that.
I think prime example of that is like the initial contact with Simple Plan was because Cal and Tom actually met Seb at Reading, and then Seb was like, oh yeah, I played a couple of your tracks on my podcast, and then ended up swapping emails and getting in touch and finding out where else we needed to get in touch in order to get on the tours. So right time, right place, but yeah, also hard work.
If Callum went to a burger van when Seb came to the Macbeth tent in Reading, we may never have been touring. Yeah, and there you go.
Did you want to get a burger? Was that the?
No, well,
That's good then.
So I would have never left, but you never know.
Never know. I'm just saying. Like, if there's burgers.
Callum does like a good burger, though. To be fair.
That's true.
Oh, we worry about everything. We just don't show it.
Swans, absolute swans on the surface, nice and calm, but paddling like fuck underneath.
That's such a good
There you
metaphor.
go.
I really like that.
The bottom swans.
I'd say I'm a pretty secure person overall. I'm quite comfortable within myself. I'm really happy with what I'm doing at the moment. It's the best time of my life and with great people. So, yeah. Matt's insecure. He's still got the fringe, always covering himself up.
I don't talk much. I try and avoid everything.
I think everybody has their insecurities generally.
That's what makes us human, I guess. But as a band, I think we've, the last couple of years have made us incredibly confident as a unit, and we're kind of up for anything now, really, and excited to see what comes next.
I guess we should probably change the song name from insecure to unstable, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, or unsafe. That would probably be a better.
Safe. Yeah.
But that headline tour was good. We've never done a headline tour that serious before. Just be a few like one-off shows. We don't like headlining. We like to know there's gonna be a crowd there. It's none of our problem that there's not a crowd there. We could just play to a lot of people. When the headline, it's down to you if no one shows up. And you have to take those records to labels and agencies at the end, and if there's no one there, it's a big risk.
It was great in January though, because we had loads of people turn up. We sort of established ourselves doing those bigger shows, a Simple Plan, and I don't know, doing a nice hour on a stage and having people actually sing back was awesome. And pulling like 100, 150 people a night, it was real progress, and we could see that, and that was our thing. It was dope. It was cool.
Actually, we nearly sold out a couple of those dates as well, which was insane. So.
Yeah, and the last show we played headline was Bournemouth, which we did just before we set off, and that sold out. So it's definitely progress.
Well done, we had 8 tickets for that show before we left for China, and then as soon as we came back, it was sold out. So that was really weird for us. Very strange. People like it. We always get people asking to buy it, and it's just, we don't put it everywhere. We don't put it on iTunes and stuff like that, but that's the one place you can get it. And it's people, why keep it from people, I guess.
I think that EP was actually an old project that we had where we were just kids sort of fucking around, but then it's really nice for people to actually see our roots. Like, one of our things as a band is we want to be as transparent to people as we can. You know, we want to meet fans all the time, talk to them, tell them what's going on. Obviously, you keep your announcements, you know, in your pocket, but it's nice to just be honest and open and be like, hey, this is what we were doing, the very first thing we were doing. It's not great, but that's where we came from, and this is where we are now. So, yeah.
I think that's part of the charm, isn't it? It's the grassroots like level of this band. Like, it literally, you know, these three gents started it a long time ago, and it's been really exciting to see it grow, you know, because before I joined I was a huge fan of these guys. They played a couple of shows with my old band and stuff, and instantly connected with them and thought, yeah, these guys work really hard. So it was really awesome to be able to join it a couple of years ago and see it progress even more.
I guess just good people. That's what we like, humble people who appreciate what they've got without being, I don't know, it's nice to see. We've been on tour, luckily been on tour with a lot of bands who have just been the nicest people to other bands and their own fans, and it's really nice to see that it's not just a gimmick, and that makes us feel more humble and makes us learn to be more like them, which is nice. I think that what makes a role model to me, I'd say.
Yeah, I think in terms of role models, it's that sort of just genuine feature. Like, so many, you know, especially in music, so many people, I mean, we've been lucky in the people we've come across, but lots of people have this ego as soon as they come off stage. They have this friendly personality on stage, and then they're just arseholes backstage. And we've been blessed to meet some of the friendliest people ever, and egos just don't benefit anybody. They don't even benefit you. That guy thinks you're a dick. That isn't a benefit. You've potentially lost a good contact or good friend. So just being genuine, being a solid person, and being able to do what you want to do and still be a human, that's kind of a role model for me.
Yeah, nice.
I'd say, I think the main thing of being in a band is that you want to play music to people. So the most important people in that room are the crowd. They're the ones that have bought the ticket, they're the ones that have bought the t-shirt, they're the ones that have learnt your songs. Without them, you don't exist. So I think I find it very difficult when you come across some artists or touring bands who couldn't care less about the kids that stood in the rain for hours because they want to meet them or get that signature or have 10 seconds of their time. It's like, well, that kid is the reason you're doing something you want to do. That's the reason you're seeing the world, playing the shows. So really, they are super important. I think we're really lucky, and I will name Simple Plan for sure. Those guys have got it nailed. They give every fan the time of day, and I think they're a credit. And I think it was really refreshing to see such a big name, such a big influence on us when we first toured with them. See just how amazing they are with their fans. It was a real, not inspiration, because we'd always do that anyway, but to see it actually exist at that level was really exciting and really refreshing for sure, especially when you see it not exist all the time. So, but yeah, I guess good people, like Cal said, really.